Welcome back to another episode of Speak Easy English. I'm Lisa, and as always, I'm here with my co-host, Tommy. How's it going, Tommy?
Hi, Lisa. I'm doing great, and I'm super excited about today's episode because we're talking about something that every English learner wants, expanding their vocabulary.
Yes. Having a rich vocabulary is one of the best ways to sound more fluent and confident in English. But I know it can feel overwhelming sometimes. There are so many words.
Exactly. I've definitely been in situations where I want to express myself better, but I just don't know the right word. So, Lisa, what are some easy tricks to expand your vocabulary?
I love that question, Tommy, and I have a bunch of great tips to share today. Let's start with one of my favorites, reading regularly.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. The more you read, the more words you come across. But should people read anything specific?
That's a great question. Honestly, anything in English can help. Books, news articles, blogs, even social media posts. But if you want to expand your vocabulary faster, I recommend reading a variety of materials. For example, fiction books will expose you to descriptive and expressive language, while news articles will introduce you to formal and academic vocabulary.
That makes sense. And I guess if you're reading something fun, like a novel or a blog about your hobbies, you're more likely to stay motivated.
Exactly. The key is to enjoy the process. All right, here's another tip. Keep a vocabulary journal.
A vocabulary journal? How does that work?
It's really simple. Every time you come across a new word, write it down in a notebook or a digital note on your phone. But don't just write the word. Also include its definition, an example sentence, and maybe even a synonym or antonym.
That's a great idea. I think I've tried writing down words before, but I never went back to review them.
And that's the key. Reviewing the words regularly is super important. Maybe set a goal to go over your vocabulary journal at least once a week. You can even challenge yourself to use the new words in conversations.
That's actually a fun idea. Speaking of fun, do you have any tips that make learning vocabulary more interactive?
Absolutely. One of my favorite tricks is learning words in context instead of just memorizing them.
What do you mean by that?
Instead of memorizing a list of random words, learn them in sentences or phrases. For example, instead of just learning the word elated, which means very happy, learn it in a sentence like, I was elated when I passed my exam. That way, you understand how to use it naturally.
That's so smart. Because sometimes I learn a word, but when I try to use it, it doesn't quite fit the sentence.
Exactly. Learning in context helps you remember words better and use them correctly. And here's another trick. Use flashcards.
Oh, I've heard of that. But how do you recommend using them?
You can make your own flashcards with the word on one side and the definition, example sentence, or even a picture on the other side. Or, if you prefer digital learning, apps like Anki or Quizlet are great for this. The best part? They use something called spaced repetition, which means the words you struggle with will appear more often until you remember them.
That sounds way better than just cramming a bunch of words at once and forgetting them the next day.
Exactly. And speaking of making words stick, here's another fun tip. Associate new words with images or stories.
Oh, I love this idea. Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you're learning the word gigantic, which means very large. Instead of just memorizing it, picture a gigantic elephant standing in the middle of your street. The funnier or more ridiculous the image, the more likely you are to remember the word.
That's genius. Our brains love stories and images, so it makes sense that we'd remember words better this way.
Exactly. And here's another important tip. Use the words you learn as soon as possible.
So, like, if I learn a new word today, I should try to use it in a sentence or a conversation?
Yes, if you don't use it, you lose it. Try writing a short paragraph using the word, saying it out loud in a conversation, or even recording yourself using it. The more you practice, the faster it becomes part of your active vocabulary.
I love that. But what if I don't have anyone to practice with?
Great question. If you don't have a language partner, you can still practice by talking to yourself in English.
Wait, you mean like Actually speaking to myself?
Yep, it might sound funny, but it works. Try describing your day, talking about a book you're reading, or even pretending to have a conversation with someone. This helps reinforce new words and boosts your confidence in speaking.
That actually sounds fun. And I bet it helps with pronunciation, too.
Exactly. And another great way to learn new words naturally is watching movies, TV shows, or listening to podcasts in English.
Oh, I love that one. I've learned a lot of slang and casual phrases just from watching TV shows.
Exactly. And if you're watching with subtitles, try pausing when you hear a new word, writing it down, and looking up its meaning.
That's a great habit to build. And it makes learning feel less like studying and more like entertainment.
Exactly. Here's our final tip. Be patient and consistent.
That's so important. Learning new words takes time, right?
Absolutely. You don't need to learn 100 words in a day. Just aim for a few words every day, and over time, you'll build a rich and diverse vocabulary without even realizing it.
That's a great reminder. So let's do a quick recap for our listeners. If you want to expand your vocabulary, you should. 1. Read regularly. 2. Keep a vocabulary journal. 3. Learn words in context. 4. Use flashcards and spaced repetition. 5. Associate words with images or stories. 6. Use new words as soon as possible. 7. Talk to yourself in English. 8. Watch movies, TV shows, and listen to podcasts. 9. Be patient and consistent.
Perfect summary, Tommy. And remember, the key to learning new words is to enjoy the process. Make it fun, be curious, and keep practicing.
That's right. And for all our listeners out there, if you have your own vocabulary learning tricks, let us know.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Speak Easy English.